Vicki is with us in Columbus, Ohio. Hi, Vicki. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Dave?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Thanks so much for taking my call. I have a question. I'm in about a month away from being finished with baby step number 2.
Good.
And I'm 40 years old, and I have 2 daughters, 16 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been able to save any money for their college because of 4 repeat court appearances with their father. And I feel like I want to be able to help, but at the same time, I'm also afraid about my own future with regard to retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is how would you recommend kind of doing the best of both worlds while I'm phasing into, 4, 5, and 6?
Gotcha. What's your income?
I'm about $80,000 a year.
Oh, that's great news. Okay, cool. How much is your house payment?
$860.
Oh, good. Very reasonable. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get on this budget and you start saying, okay, I'm going to start doing something towards retirement in baby step 4. And, we recommend 15% there. You may or may not go that heavy because you got 2 right up at college age. And then you start throwing some serious bank aside for the kids. And we start talking to them. They're 13 and 16, and there's 4 or 5 things that you need to be doing when it comes to going to college when you're broke. And here's how you do it. Number 1 mistake people make is they choose a college they can't afford. And very, very few jobs, less than 2 or 3% of the jobs, care where you went to school. They just care that you learned something. And that maybe you got the degree while you were learning something, right? And so, I've never gone to a doctor and went, now, wait a minute, before you take my kidney out, where'd you go to school? I've never done that. I've never hired a lawyer, and I went, no, you can't sue that guy because you didn't go to that right school. I'm not going to let you sue him for me, okay?
I've actually addressed that with my oldest already, so I think we're okay, and she's fixated on in-state, so I think we've got that covered so far.
Good. We're fixated on in-state. That's a good thing. So in-state tuition, number 1. Maybe even year 1 is community college, which is a fourth the cost, and you knock out the basics, the English comp class and the basic foreign language or whatever it is she's entering into. Knock them out for just pennies on the dollar, maybe year 1. So college choice is the biggest thing in the equation. Because as you have already discovered, in-state is half of out-of-state, and it's a fourth of private. Okay. Or maybe an eighth, depending on which private we're talking about, okay? So that's the thing. Then the second thing is they need to become experts at taking the ACT and SAT. Our kids took it and then took a class on how to take it afterwards. We spent a couple of $100 with a tutor. They went back and took it again, and every one of them, every time they did that, their scores went up. Which does 2 things. One is it gets them admitted to the school. They got to have a high enough score to actually get in. And the second thing is the higher the score, obviously, the more they're qualified for scholarships, which brings us to the third thing. Their full-time job is filling out essays and applications for free money to go to school. And, I want them to have 1,000 applications out before they head off to school. I met one lady not long ago. She was a single mom, just like you. She made her daughter fill out applications, and she literally did 1,000. She got turned down for over 900 of them. 0.
Wow.
But the rest of them gave her $38,000. So she went to school free. And she lived at home.
Okay.
So that's not a bad job. You fill out a form, and it takes you 30 minutes to fill out a form and do an essay, and you get 1 out of 10 of those comes back maybe and turns into some money, and you get $200. How many other places can a 16-year-old make $200 an hour? So that's a great plan there. So getting the ACT scores up, applying for scholarships, and plan on working while you're in college.
Right.
I did. Did you?
Actually, yes, I did.
Yeah. Most of us did. But this generation has decided it's child abuse. It's not child abuse. As a matter of fact, I would prefer as an employer to hire somebody that worked while they were in school because they actually have a degree and they know how to work. And so I actually look at that. Did they work their way through school as a huge plus when I'm hiring a young person coming in here? I look at that. Okay. And so,
is there somewhere? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is there somewhere that you would recommend that we go to get list of available scholarships, or
no? There's not. I have not been able to find a credible single source, and so we just tell you to wear Google out.
Okay.
If we ever find a credible single source, I'll make them rich by endorsing them. And and millions of people will be going to that same site. So, but it's it's a needle in a haystack thing is what you're doing. But it's okay because it's free stinking money. So they're going to work. They're going to work at and oh, by the way, their GPA while they're in school is a big deal too, right? And are you guys involved in your church?
No, we're actually not overly active with the church.
Okay. If they're involved in other community activities, be documenting those. The citizenship angle on getting the scholarships is a big deal.
Okay.
They work. They work at the homeless shelter here or there. They do this, whatever it is they do for others, and it proves their, the quality of their character as young ladies. The good news is this: when they're in school, go nanny. You can make $20 an hour nannying.
Right.
Babysitting.
That's a good point.
Babysitting. You make $20 an hour right now. People are paying $20 an hour to babysit, and guess what? It's almost always at night, or in afternoons, or you work around your school and that kind of stuff. And so they can make serious bank and work their way on through. And guess what? You got a few years that you make a good income. You're going to be able to help some too. So all of this stirs together to be called a debt-free experience in college.
Okay.
Last piece is this: make sure they're studying something that is actually usable in the marketplace. We don't need a degree in left-handed puppetry.
Okay.
All right. So really, really good question. And you got it, Vicki. You can do it. But you're just going to have to be very intentional about all of those different things, and all of those pieces come together to form a puzzle, and it's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful thing, and it'll work. And people go to school debt-free all the time. And that's how they do it. But can you go to a $50,000 a year school? No. Not when you're broke. But you can't drive a $50,000 car either when you're broke. So it's not a different idea. You just, you do what you can afford. Champagne taste beer pocketbook. You know how it works. So you just decide these things. But education is the only thing that people are stupid about, which is, to me, the funniest paradox in our culture today. People are stupid about education. They're just dumb about education. And they lose their minds over it. They justify it in their head that I can do this and I can do this. $200,000 in student loan debt. Good gracious, don't do that stuff, people. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.